Okay, hi everyone and welcome. A couple of weeks ago, I did a talk on optimum health. And in that talk, I said that optimum health was way more than just having a pain-free body. Optimum health is about the whole person, and as such, it's about that person's lifestyle and life and everything. So, as well as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, there's also relationship well-being. There is environmental well-being. There's social well-being. I mean, there's all these different facets of a person's life that make up optimum health and well-being. And one of the most important is financial well-being, financial health, not health, well, both. And that's what we want to focus on today. And I know there's probably a number of you out there thinking, oh my gosh, we've heard this 1,000 times before. I'm going to urge you to set aside those voices in the head that say, oh, I've heard this before, or, thoughts to that effect, and listen with a new ear. Listen like you haven't never heard this kind of information before. Because no matter how often we hear it, it is absolutely fundamental to our success in this business.
Yeah, one of the things about this whole person, this whole being, is a native curiosity, a willingness to do as Christa said, just set aside what we already know and learn something. One of the ways we can judge the health, the mental health, as well as the spiritual health, is by the amount of new learning that takes place. It can be subtle or overt, but in this case, we're inviting you to learn something new about yourself. Probably the most fascinating thing in the world is ourselves. And self-knowledge is the valuable thing we're after today. So we're going to ask you to take a journey with us through total well-being. And as Christa said, emphasizing the importance of our financial well-being. And that can mean a number of things to a number of people. Mm-hmm. As simple as the lack of stress about the lack of money, okay, not being a victim of the lack of money and all the limitations and all the worry and all the angst that brings, all the way to abundance, a joyful abundance, and a knowledge, a deep inner knowledge that we're taken care of, and that we have what we need, when we need it, how we need it, and the way we need it. So we're all somewhere in between there. We're on a scale, and we're going to invite you to shift your attitude or your relationship or your approach, and then the manifestation of your financial wealth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just thinking, one of the things that I did share on that talk that I did was that I'd been unable to walk for 2 months, right? I was able to lay in bed for, 6 to 7 weeks and not have to worry about anything. It really hit me what an incredible privilege this is, to be able to do that. Just take that time, not have to worry about anything. Just do whatever I needed to do for myself.
Yeah, the worry about the lack of money, or where am I going to get the money, or how do I finance this, or how do I make this work? That worry can contribute to a decline in health. Mm-hmm. The stress level can aggravate or initiate problems in our physical body.
Yeah. And, another piece of this is there are so many amazing things in this world right now, and we are on the cusp of incredible breakthroughs, and in all areas of life, but especially in the area of health. And I know we're talking about money right now, but this is very applicable, because a lot of these new technologies cost money. They're expensive. I have a good friend right now who has just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And I know there are ways that she can reverse that. I know that there is someone I can send her to that can work with her, but she doesn't have the money. And so, it's so fundamental. And so what I want to focus more on is for each of us, and where we sit when it comes to how we think about this. It's not, we talk about it, but oftentimes what we talk about are just concepts, that to be able to take it internally and make it real for yourself. So one of the most important things that successful people have is what we call abundance thinking. So people who are successful, they think in terms of abundance. They know that there is infinite opportunities for people to be successful in their lives, regardless of their circumstances. And I know this deep inside my heart. I know this is absolutely the truth for me, that success, whatever it looks like, because success is different, as we know, for everybody, right? People, whoever they are, have the opportunities to have an awesomely amazing life of whatever they perceive to be success for themselves, regardless of the circumstances. So I want you to take a minute and think about that, because this, I believe, at least where I'm sitting, this is one of the, or if not the foundation of abundance thinking, is this concept, this knowing that it's available to everybody. Every single person on this planet has boundless opportunities to have an extraordinarily successful life.
Now you may be thinking, well, that's good in theory, but.
There's the but.
And the but is, I don't have the money, and I don't know how to get the money, and there's none on the horizon, and I don't have access, and I'm just, that's not part of my reality. And what we're inviting you to do is set that aside for a moment. Yes, those are your circumstances, but what Christa just pointed out is that in the spiritual basis of life, we live in abundance. There's an abundance of air. There's an abundance of energy inside your body. There's an abundance in our lives. Now, in our thinking, there may not be an abundance, and that's fair enough. But what we're inviting you to do is to put that aside for a moment and sit in the place just for a moment, even if you don't really believe it. Sit in the moment that it is abundant, that there is a unlimited amount of abundance in the universe and in the world and in my world right now. Maybe I don't know how to get it. Yep, fair enough. Maybe I don't have a vehicle. Yep, fair enough. but just sit in and marinate in that there is abundance and I have circumstances. They're two separate things. There's abundance and I have circumstances. Okay, so by separating those out, there's a hole or an opening for something to come in. There's a place for us to stand into that can allow a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of attracting to ourselves the abundance that Christa's pointing at. It's there. And if your mind's going crazy with this, just remember, other people have it. Okay? And if other people have it, you can have it. Now, that doesn't mean you have it, or you know how to get it, or your circumstance. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just allow yourself to say, it's there. I see it. Other people have things. They have the money. They have the time. They have the freedom. And allow yourself to think, yes, I can have it, even though I don't know how. Now, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of the journey. And it's important to take this step, because without this, it's resignation. It's the same. It's stuck. It can't happen. It's not going to happen. Here I am. And the stress builds, and it builds on itself. And that creates the pain and the stress in a life. And that creates the stress in our health. So just for a moment, breathe into, there is abundance. It's possible. And it's possible that I could have it, even though I don't have it.
So you're here because you want to build a business, right? You want to be successful. You have dreams and a vision for your life. So we have to take control of what we think, what we feel, and how we act out of that, right? We have to change the limited beliefs that are holding us back and keeping us in this place of lack. Because it's a stuck place, like Michael just said. You know, if we don't, we need to make these beliefs conscious. We need to make them conscious. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck in the same place. So we have to be willing. Here's a key word. We have to be willing to move.
It may be one of the more difficult things what Chris is talking about. And here's something I've noticed too. A lot of people, myself included, have tried to get rid of the lack of thinking, get rid of the poverty mentality. And I can assure you that I had no success doing that. What Christa's pointing at is not getting rid of your old thinking. It's about allowing a new kind of thinking. Okay. So, fighting against what is not, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about allowing something new in, allowing something new, and then finding evidence for it in the world. Look, you want evidence that there's an abundance? You get the next breath and it's free. And you have the next breath and it's free. And there's an abundance of breathing. It's unlimited. There's an abundance of good sunshine, cloudy days, of course, but there's an abundance of water. There's an abundance. Get to the basic things. There's an abundance of time until there isn't, right? So give thanks, get into the groove, get into the adoption mentality of there is abundance. And if you have to start so basic, so simple, there's an abundance of light, there's an abundance of air, there's abundance of water. Yes, start there. Start wherever you need to start. And then begin to cultivate that muscle. Look for the abundance. Look for the abundance. Look for the abundance. It's about cultivating and developing abundance thinking, not getting rid of the lack thinking. Okay? And what Christa's pointing out is we're in business. We're in business. There's an abundance of customers. There's an abundance of business builders, an abundance of opportunity. There's an abundance of ways of doing. There's so much here. Now, doesn't mean that you've already got it all wired and you've got all your circumstance. We're not saying that. We're just saying spot the abundance. Cultivate the abundance thinking. Cultivate the opportunity thinking. This is what top leaders do. They've cultivated and optimism. They've cultivated a attitude of success. Whether they have it or not, they've cultivated it. And then, reality follows that cultivation. And over time, guess what happens? They become successful. And you can see this in your own life, where you've learned something or practiced something or cultivated something. And at some point you got some mastery, and then more mastery and more mastery. This is no different. This is no different. And one of the things that will allow you the success in this business is by cultivating this and then wearing it and then displaying it to others. Displaying it. You may be behind and your car is broken down and you don't have the money for this or that, but you can still wear your abundance regardless of your circumstances. And then when you're interacting with people, what are they going to spot? They'll spot the way you're being. I mean, yeah, we all have circumstances, but people have a way of seeing through the circumstances that when we display what's really inside.
Well, I think there's like a parallel path that we have to walk. And as we go through our day-to-day routine or whatever we do, and we sit in this place of abundance, we also, like I said, I think need to be aware of where we stop ourselves. So it's a two-pronged thing. Aware of the abundance and sit in that place, and also an openness, a willingness to say what needs to shift here, because something needs to shift, or you would be in the place where you dream to be or you vision to be. So there's different ways of doing that, and there has to be, like I said, a willingness. So watching what comes out of our mouth, watching the conversation that goes on in here. Like, if, for example, if you catch yourself thinking, well, that person's not going to be able to afford this, so I'm not going to, approach them, or something along those lines. People, this is another one. People don't have the time, or people don't have the money. That's a non-starter, because that doesn't even make sense. Because basically you're putting the entire world into this petri dish of whatever. So catch those things. If you hear yourself say them, if you catch yourself thinking that, stop and say, thank you for sharing. And I don't believe that story anymore. And it's not going to happen like that. The other, I think there's another couple of things that might make it easier as well. So there's two things really about this lack thinking, or these limited beliefs that we all have, right? It's part of the human experience, is that pretty much always they come out of our fears. So if you can get clear on what that is, then that's a real key. And then the second thing is that they're usually things that justify to ourselves keeping us in this place that's comfortable. So they're like the excuses that we make to ourselves, the justifications that we make to not move out there, not get too uncomfortable. So these are places that you can watch in your life to see, what actually is going on with me, right? I've approached all these people, I've signed up a number of people, but nothing's really moving forward. It all has to start in here, because we all have these limiting beliefs. This is part of what we need to get through on this human journey. So to be able to do that, we need to know what they are as much as possible. And even elicit the help of other people, somebody in your team or a family member or someone you're close to. If you hear me saying something that is limiting to either me or another person, because that's what happens. We focus on that, and that focus goes out there to another person, and we shortchange them of a life. And that person may be exactly the person who's going to find a way to get that money, who's going to find a way to jump on board and really do this. But we've cut it off at the knees before it's even started.
So this is what I was pointing out before about, yes, we have our limiting beliefs. Yes, we have our circumstances, and to project outward the abundance. Mm-hmm. Frame people in that abundance. As Christa is saying, hold them in a place of abundance. Yes, they can do it if they want. They may choose not to, they may choose to, but they're totally capable of doing it. See, anybody is capable of doing this business. It's so true. Will they? I don't know. We've been surprised again and again and again. People that we thought would absolutely do it, don't do anything. People who we thought, nah, they don't have a chance, have turned out to be really great. I don't know. There's a lot of humility in saying, I don't know. And then choosing to frame people in the place of abundance as opposed to the place of lack.
Because if we do that, we're actually bringing ourselves present by continually acting out of this place of lack and these old belief systems. We're keeping ourselves stuck in the past, and we're keeping other people stuck in that same place. And our life journey really is to keep bringing ourselves present. And when we bring ourselves present, the present moment has infinite possibility. Not dependent on what happened before, not dependent on what our past experience is. So it's crucial. It's really crucial. If we want what we say we want, if we're determined to create what we say we want, we have to deal with this. We have to deal with this. And another piece of this whole picture is being open and willing and seeing the value of what we have to offer. Because if we can't see it, somebody else is not going to be able to see it, right? So we have something extraordinary here. We have a way for people to create financial abundance in their life, no matter where they are in their life circumstances. I mean, do you get the value of this? This is extraordinary. I mean, yes, we have great products, but this really is the bottom line value for people. Because if they don't have the financial wellness, they can't buy the products anyway. Like, this is fundamental. And I think oftentimes we lose that perspective and we get so comfortable focusing on product and product sales and, sharing the product with people. And this is, and of course it's wonderful. And of course we want people's lives changed. But I think every now and again we need to bring ourselves back on track and say, we're building a business here. You know, I am looking for somebody who wants to do what I'm doing, who wants to build a business.
Well, the truth is that this is one of the very, very few places where you can help people afford the product.
Mhm.
People go to a shop and they see something, they don't have the money for it. That's just too bad. The shop owner is not going to say, oh, well, you can do a little work here. You can stock the shelves or sweep the floors, and yeah, I'll give you the product. They don't say that. It's like, you got the money or not. If you have the money, great. And if you don't, no. But we have a different offer. We say, oh, you like the products? Well, let me show you how to get them. If you don't think you can, if you don't have the cash right now, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to get your products paid for, subsidized, or even make money. Now that's rare and unique in the world. You see, that's what we have to offer. And that's truly a gift. I don't get offered opportunities like that in my life, just in general. It's like, here's the price. If you have it, great. And if you don't, too bad. It's very rare for somebody to say, oh, well, if you like it, let me help you get it. Let me show you how to get it. You see what an unusual and valuable thing that is? What Chris is pointing out is that this is the heart of the business. Now, if somebody has the money and they want the products and they just afford it and they just want to be a customer, that's perfect. But there's lots and lots of people who would love to use our products who just can't. They're in that place of lack. And the lack thinking is not, oh, well, how can I get this? The lack thinking is, oh, no, I'm not interested, meaning I don't have the money, meaning I'd love it, but I can't afford it, or whatever their story is. So along with the product, I always, always, always say, yes, and let me show you how to get it either paid for or subsidized or partially or paid for. And if you really want to go for it, I'll show you how to make money with it. And that's how I was brought in. In the very first network thing, the product, that was what was said to me. And it was said as an aside, but it stuck. And it went deep. And then later, when I really thought about it, I thought, oh, this is great. I haven't heard that before. So I think what Chris is talking about and what I'm pointing at is modeling a behavior of abundance. The abundance is, if you want this, you can have it. And I'll help you do it. That's one part of it. That's one component of it.
Well, I think too, it's very easy to see the value in the product. You know, there may be something similar that you can get in the supermarket for a quarter of the price. Certainly not the same, but there's products out there. But we know the value of this, right? We know that no matter how much this product costs, we know the value of it. So we need to know the same value for our compensation plan. We need to feel that same certainty, that same knowledge about our pay plan. Because this, to me, is an even bigger gift than the product. This can change lives in ways that go way beyond just what the product can do. This can completely transform communities, families. I mean, there's no end to the abundance that can be generated by knowing the value of being compensated.
And that implies that we have to offer it. And we have to offer it in a way that we can convey that value.
Mm-hmm.
First, we have to know the value. then we have to be able to convey that. We have to be able to show people that. And we show that through our own example. We show that through our story. And for example, my story might be, well, let me show you how to get this either partially paid for or fully paid for, and then you can have it for free every month like I do. So we're showing by example. We're showing that I do it and I can help you do it. And that's what people want to know. Is it possible? And will you help me do it? I mean, that's the fundamental. So believing in it and then offering it in a way that puts them in the picture. They can paint themselves into the picture that you've presented. Okay, so that you, and then to foster, to help them create to help them, magnify that in their own life, and then foster their dreams, to have them have their dreams, to see the possibility of that.
Yeah.
And even if they don't say yes, you've given them a gift. You've given them a gift of, even for a fraction of a moment, dreaming, like going, oh, there is a possibility outside of my current circumstances. I may not want it, but there's something there. If I ever want it, it's there.
Yeah.
So we've cracked open their thinking a little bit. We've broken that mold of, oh, this is the way it is. This is my limitations. These are my circumstances. This is the lack I'm living in. And we've said, yeah, that's fine. And there's more if you want it. And they may shut it back down out of the fear, or they may go, oh, well, I am open. Let me look some more and look some more and look some more. We don't know. Our job is not to kind of force or their job's to say yes or no. Our job's to offer it in a way that they can see the opening and then take it or not. And then we've done them a good favor just by offering it.
Yeah. So, I think.
Yeah. I invite you to really think about these things. And we can put on the old thinking now. We ask you to set all that aside for a moment while we displayed this, and you can bring up the old stuff now. But hopefully, if you've listened creatively, you've shifted a little bit. Maybe you've expanded your envelope a little, or moved something, or maybe not. That's fine. But we pointed out that there is a possibility of a way of having what you want in life. And hopefully, just to review, it is important to have financial abundance so that we can afford the health and the other things that make up health in our lives, to afford them, to have the money, to not have lack of money be the limiting factor in optimal health. Okay, to have the resources to do what we need to do. And as these new technologies are available to us more and more, and there's a huge rush of them, everything from stem cells to artificial joint replacements to on and on and on, all this stuff. And now it's getting even more accelerated. These things cost money and they take time. And if we have the money and the time, we can access them. Even just to eat all organic and on and on. I could go on and I won't. But the point is that to break open our thinking, to break open our lack thinking and open up to abundance, and then display that abundance in such a way that it inspires us, first of all, and then we live into it, but also then when we're communicating with people, that we offer them that as well, so that they can see it and possibly live into it if they choose to. And the gift that we offer is a different way of generating wealth in their lives, a different way of creating that financial abundance. And for a lot of people, they have one way of doing it, and that's the way they're doing it, and that's all they know. And just the act of offering them this alternative, this way of doing it, is a gift to them. And then whether they say yes or no is their choice, but we've done our job of being good friends and offering to them. So we invite you to think about these things, and if any of it fits, to put it into action. That's the ultimate thing. I mean, this is not just an intellectual discussion. It's actually an invitation to step into this, because I know that this way of thinking is what has shifted me from one place to another place. And it did not happen overnight. And it was not about getting rid of my poverty thinking. It was about adopting abundance thinking and then living into it and falling back and living in and falling back and stepping into it more and more fully. And there's still a ways to go. there's no end of it, but I'm sure glad that I took those steps, because now I get to live into those my new circumstances. So I want to thank you for listening, and encourage you to put it into action, to step into your life boldly, and offer to others the gifts that you've discovered in life. So thank you.